Earlier on, after the 9850X3D announcement, I did an estimate with the 9800X3D just to see if we can get an idea where the performance would land. And that was, of course, before I had the CPU in hand. Now that I have it, turns out I was a little bit too optimistic. So let's review this and let me explain. Welcome to Machines and More. The embargo on 9850X3D just lifted, so here is my launch day review. If you're watching this on day one, you will also be able to purchase this tomorrow, hopefully at the MSRP of $499 US. But I think this SKU will be sensible for only a small subset of users. And in this review, I'll be comparing directly to the 9800X3D just to illustrate why that is. I did want to let you know that AMD sent the CPU sample ahead of time so that I could do the testing for you. This is not a paid review, however, and if you enjoy objective and well-researched content, please make sure to give this a like and make sure that you are subscribed as well. Big thanks. So a very quick overview. The 9850X3D is AMD's better binned, higher tuned boost clock version of the current Gaming King 9800X3D, which runs on the AM5 socket and does not differ in core count, does not differ in architecture. It is the same 3D V-cache setup. The naming is a bit tricky because I think historically speaking, this might have been more consistently named as a 9800X3D XT, since that number 5 in the AMD nomenclature often alludes to a higher core count, which this isn't really at its core. Well, all 8 of them. It is a tuned 9800X3D. So yeah, as I mentioned before, I did some preliminary calculations before I got the sample from AMD, and I think my methodology was sound with the clock scaling, but I made one key assumption that made my heavy all-core estimate of a 7% bump very much towards the high side. Now, I assumed the 9850X3D would get a plus 400 megahertz boost across all cores under all scenarios, but the key is this little up to, in parentheses, under the 5.6 gigahertz headline spec. The 9800X3D is spec'd with a 5.2 gigahertz max boost clock, and it hits that very reliably as long as you give it decent cooling, even for all core loads. Now just throw some PBO tuning at it and the single core game boost can easily hit 5.4 gigahertz. Now knowing that, I assumed you would get 5.6 gigahertz on all cores with the 9850X3D, and that is simply not what happens here. The 9850X3D carries that headline spec that is, more similar to how their other CPUs are spec'd, meaning that it only hits that high number under very light loads. That base clock is exactly the same as the 9800X3D. So with the 9850X3D, AMD is actually just allowing the boost algorithm some extra legroom, so to speak, for those single core situations. Starting with an all-core heavy Blender render, I saw only about a 70-ish megahertz increment for the new SKU, which is quite small, but more surprising was to get there, the CPU runs with an extra 17 watts of package power, higher voltage, and there is a distinct impact on the thermals with everything else being equal. Now, some of you might be familiar with PBO tuning for the 9800X3D. If you just lift the max boost ceiling to the highest, which is a plus 200 megahertz setting, here in Cinebench R23 multi-core, you'll see that the 9800X3D can basically match the 9850X3D at more or less the same power drop. So you might say, oh, I could do the same with the 9850X3D, right? But unless you touch the power limits, you're basically stuck at the same level. In other words, for those types of heavy multi-core rendering, if you have a 9800X3D with a few keystrokes in BIOS, you basically could get a 9850X3D. Now, getting into less all-core heavy loads, that's when we start to see a difference in the boost algorithm. In Cyberpunk 1440p, I saw a noticeable bump up 300 plus megahertz. Again, it's not doing that without a cost in efficiency. Now it's drawing down a significantly higher amount of power as well here. And it isn't until you run an exclusively single core load, such as is simulated in single core Cinebench, that you see that plus 400 megahertz increment. Here we are clocking in at 5617 megahertz, higher package power. Now, how does this translate to performance? Let's get into the benchmarks. I wanted to focus exclusively here versus the 9850X3D, as the 9800X3D is already the best gaming CPU that you can get today. And I think that if you are framing your purchasing or system build decision correctly, you will be very close to, waffling between these two. So if you are curious how the 9800X3 stacks up versus other CPUs, I will leave my launch review linked up here for reference. But as a side note, I'm also testing with a 6000 MHz CL28 kit with X3D CPUs. The gaming performance is less sensitive to the RAM speed, since the V-cache is offsetting a lot of those RAM latency benefits. And I'll talk specifically about that and motherboard and cooling choice in a video that's dropping tomorrow, though. So starting with Blender, that plus 74 megahertz boost means that the 9850X3D posts a 4-second faster render time here, and that works out to be 1.6% faster on that render time. Times by CPU, about a 2% bump here. For Geekbench 6, there's a bigger 5.7% improvement in the single core score. The multi-core benchmarks here aren't always heavy all-core processes, so you do see a slightly higher 3.3% bump here. Cinebench R23, 1.6% improvement on the multi-core and almost 8% on the single core. Similar story here for Cinebench R24, with slightly higher improvements, though, but not too much. 7-zip benchmark compressed score was within run-to-run variation. They are practically equal, with a very small bump on the decompress. For video editing in DaVinci Resolve, if you are doing some casual editing and you use that free version, reference the basic score here, and you're going to see more of a benefit in this scenario, since that tends to utilize the CPU more. The extended score shows that leveraging a powerful GPU basically makes that difference minuscule. And here I threw in the Fusion score specifically, since if you do a lot of work with Fusion effects, you're going to see a bigger benefit here, since that tends to utilize or be more single core intensive. So generally speaking, for your heavy multi-core workloads, you'll only see very small 1 to 2% bumps. Your more single core intensive processes, you may see up to 8% or so. But you're not getting this for doing work, right? Let's game. Cyberpunk 2077, 3% or so at 1080. You get higher bumps on the lows. Basically the same at 1440 high, though. And you may see stronger performance for the lows. Monster Hunter Wilds, generally regarded as terribly optimized, so I was a little bit surprised here because I basically did not see any change. Same with Red Dead 2, which is actually where I expected to see no change, so no surprises here. Battlefield 6, also no significant changes. Interestingly, I saw higher lows with the 9800X3D here for both 1080 and 1440. Civ 7, this is highly theoretical territory. I'm really not sure why anyone needs to run this title at frame rates like this, but nonetheless, you do get a bump up about 5% on the averages and 2% on the 1440. A more applicable test for the Civ series is the turn time benchmark, and that shows about a 5% improvement here. It's not too bad. Older title, Total War 3 Kingdoms, got the same averages, stronger lows performance from the 9850X3D, especially at 1080. Assassin's Creed Mirage, we are basically within run-to-run variants, the 9800X3 scoring a little bit higher here, interestingly. Up to this point, mostly we've been dealing with small bumps, so how about a title that shows some actual differences? Far Cry 6, cue that Gus Fring.
Yes, I am different.
We are not the same. Finally, a major improvement. Here we're actually getting 8% on the 1080 averages, yay. And at 1440, 2.4%. Other than that, mostly underwhelming differences, right? On the geo means for 1080, it's about a 1.6% advantage for the 9850X3D averages, 2.6% for the 1% lows, 4.6% for the 0.1% lows, and at 1440, we're negligible for the averages, 2 to 3% advantage for the 9850X3D on the lows. So that is stock performance in a nutshell. One thing that you might be curious is when you enable AMD's PBO overclocking. The 9850X3D's typical boost behavior is going to be sitting at a different point on the voltage frequency curve for the 9800X3D family, right? So identical curve optimizer offsets will have disparate impacts, plus the 9850X3D is basically already eating into the headroom that the 9800X3D has to begin with. Right here with a 20 negative offset enabled on both processors, the 9850X3D actually hits the lower frequency, but at 5 watts lower package power. So it's a decent improvement over the stock performance, especially if you consider the slightly hotter out-of-box package power. And that translates to about a 3% lower render time versus the stock performance. Compared to the 9800X3 running the same settings, it's only about 1% faster. Again, with these settings, it is running at 5 watts lower power than the 800X3D. For gaming with those settings, dialing it in this way gets us a very modest bump at a more reasonable power draw. Now, it's nowhere near the 200 megahertz bump that a 9800X3D would get with these settings. That translates to a 2.5% bump on the averages. The lows are a bit more responsive, but when you tune it this way, you can squeeze just a little bit more performance out of it. The 9800X3 is still very competitive, though. I will note that at very light loads, tuned this way, I saw 5.78 gigahertz, so it does have a lot of potential if you want to try to hit higher clocks. So at a high level, from my testing, the 9850X3D is a 9800X3D OC. You know, like when you're GPU shopping, it's that next level up SKU where the board partner has already done that tuning for you and is already utilizing the typical headroom from the chip where, you know, most of the time you can already get that extra performance by doing your own tuning. And of course, you do pay more for that OC name, right? The critical spec being that the OC or the 9850X3D model is set up to work out of the box that way, versus you playing a game of hit or miss, which is never guaranteed. But to put this all into perspective, the 9800X3D can be found now for around $470 US. It's already a very expensive part for something that is targeted at gaming usage. The 9850X3D, according to AMD, carries a suggested retail price of $30 more, or $500 US, basically. So in the grand scheme of things, say for a $2,000 build, that $30 is a 1.5% increment. When you just compare the raw pricing of the CPU alone, the 9850X3D is 6% more. So the performance increment that you can squeeze out of this newer CPU is more or less in the ballpark of the price difference. So it's not necessarily unfairly priced, but that being said, do you need it? I think the vast majority of users will be completely fine saving even that smaller amount and just sticking with the 9800X3D. Some of you are already stretching to get the 9800X3D, so if you're not playing at 1080 extremely high frame rates and instead at 1440 or 4K like many gamers are doing nowadays, it's unlikely you will see a meaningful difference. And those considerations are only valid when paired with a GPU towards the higher end of the spectrum. Heck, if you're running something like the 5060 Ti or 5070 or say 9070, 9070 XT, I would venture to say that outside of a few fringe titles, you would be perfectly fine with a CPU like the 9700X if you want to stay in 8-core territory. Consider also that out of the box, 9850X3D runs at a higher package power with its stock boost algorithm. So while that won't mean vastly different cooling choices, you will be dealing with higher fan speeds unless you power limit or undervolt, and at which point you might as well go for the vanilla and save a few bucks, right? So then who is this 9850X3D for? So frankly, if you're the type of gamer or an enthusiast that doesn't want to leave anything on the table, you want to say, I played all the cards that I was dealt, no regrets, YOLO type of build, you want to know that you have the best of the best, go ahead and do it, right? If that's your mindset, this is only a $30 difference. If you want to chase the highest clocks, you want to do some aggressive manual OC, you know, do it, right? So that's that. That'll do it for the 9850X3D review. Make sure you come back tomorrow. I will talk about the impact of RAM speed, whether that's important, you know, with the current DDR5 pricing, you know, Ramageddon as a backdrop, motherboard choice, cooler considerations, and I will leave links for the CPU down below. So big thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.